What's up, everybody? Good Saturday morning. How we doing today? We got some Seahawks stuff to go into. I know this is a couple days old. I know I've already talked about it a little bit on stream, but I should go ahead and make a video to kind of sum it all up. So we're going to get into what you see on screen because, if you are plugged into the Seahawks at all, you've been hearing a lot about this lately, and it's definitely worth discussing. So, before I get into this, though, keep an eye out for me on Twitch later today. Should be playing a variety of different things over there. Come check me out. Probably going to finish up a Thief Simulator. Probably going to do some more MLB The Show. Maybe we're going to work towards the end of Ghost of Tsushima. Whatever. But whatever we do, it's going to be fun and it's going to be chill. So keep an eye out on the Twitch channel. I'm looking to do another Seahawks discussion stream probably tomorrow during the late afternoon or early evening. So keep an eye out for that. And yeah, whatever we do, we're going to definitely try to have some fun with it. So with all that being said, let's dig in. Josina Anderson broke the internet, or at least the Seahawks internet, a couple days ago when she tweeted this out concerning one Baker Mayfield. And like I said, I've already been over all this stuff with on the stream with the Hawks Nest, the Seahawks stream that we did the couple days prior. I think we talked about Baker a little bit. We've talked about it a little bit on Twitch, but let's go into why I don't think this is true and I don't think it makes sense. So Josina Anderson says, I'm told the Seahawks still have a high level of interest in acquiring quarterback Baker Mayfield and behind the scenes are open to contractually extending him per league source. I also know that the process of collecting information and insights into Mayfield is still ongoing. Now, before I get into the nitty-gritty of Baker Mayfield and trading for him and paying him and potentially extending him, I want to say that I don't really buy this. If you've been paying attention to the Seahawks this offseason, you're no stranger to there being reports that the team is going to do or thinking about doing this one thing and then they do something completely different. So I don't think I need to tell you guys that misinformation sometimes is the name of the game. And if you're an NFL organization, you have a vested interest in trying to deceive as many people as possible sometimes. But this smacks to me of Baker Mayfield and his agent knowing that things are starting to get kind of dire for him, trying to drum up interest. That's how I read it. Sounds to me like Baker's agent called up Josina Anderson and was like, hey, can you help us out here? And I don't want to slander anybody's name, but to understand, this kind of stuff happens all the time. Fake reports get leaked. Fake reports get put out there. Teams deceive reporters all the time. That's the part of the game. But this strikes me as something that is coming from Baker's camp because he's trying to make it seem like the player is desirable. So I don't believe that this is true. I think that if you were going to get Baker Mayfield, you would have done so months ago before camp so he could start familiarizing himself with your offense, with the teammates, with the receivers, the offensive line, the tight ends, etc., etc., etc. You would have done this stuff before. You wouldn't do this stuff now. At this point, you bring him in now, or you bring him in a couple weeks. He's missed out on valuable offseason time with his teammates, and that's going to affect whatever he gives you during the season. And this whole idea of contractually extending him, I guess, before he even plays for you, why? Baker Mayfield did not play well last year. Baker Mayfield has not made a single Pro Bowl in his career. Baker Mayfield does not have any season where he's thrown for more than 30 touchdown passes. What are you extending him for? Oh, and by the way, and we'll talk more about this later, he had a major injury last year. And we don't know how that could affect his play this year and even beyond this year. So even if you want to get him, even if you do want to trade for him, and even if you do, or at least you're willing to pay, let's say, half of that contract, so it would be like $9 million, why would you ever consider extending him? Why would you even ponder that? So I just don't buy this. But let's talk about why it doesn't make sense from a football perspective rather than a logic perspective. So I can sit here and say why I don't think this is true. I think it's true. But what about the reasons why it's just plain and simple not good? Why it doesn't make sense for this team to covet Baker Mayfield for really any reason at this point in time? Now, first, let me just say one thing in the pro Baker Mayfield category. Baker Mayfield's not a terrible quarterback. He's not a bad quarterback. Overall, I think he's okay. If you go back to 2020, which was the year where he put it all together, the numbers are pretty good. 63% completion, almost 3,600 yards, over a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. He did some work with his legs. The team won games. So I'm not saying Baker is terrible. He's not. Last year, 2021, was not a good representation of what Baker Mayfield is as a quarterback. He was playing injured. His team got significantly worse. His offensive line in particular broke down. And he ended up putting a product out there that is clearly not representative of what he is capable of doing. That being said, what he is capable of doing is still not anything that I'm super excited about. If you look at 2020, the Browns, they had a great offensive line. They had a great running back core. They had good receivers with Odell and Landry. They had good tight ends. It was a great star-studded offense. And they were good. They went 11-5. Baker put up good numbers. They went to the playoffs. They won a playoff game. They were a goal line fumble away from potentially making the AFC title game. And things were pretty good. But that's kind of the best case scenario from Baker. If you give him all the best stuff, if you give him the all-pro offensive line, really good receivers, great running backs, good tight ends, all this stuff, he'll give you a good season. He'll give you solid numbers. He'll be efficient. He'll be fairly effective. He's good enough to not get you beat as long as everything else is coming together. So he's Ryan Tannehill. Maybe he's Kirk Cousins. Maybe he's somewhere between those two guys. I don't know. But that's kind of the ceiling as far as we know. Now, he was only 25. He could get a little bit better as the years go on. But more than likely, you're looking at that 2020 year as the best Baker can do. You give him everything, and he'll be good. He won't be great. He won't be elite. He won't be a game changer. He won't be an MVP. He'll be good. And that's probably a little better than what you can say for Drew Lock based off what we've seen from Drew Lock so far, admittedly. Okay. But is it a lot better? I'm not convinced. Drew Lock was not put in nearly as good a situation in Denver. And I'm not going to pretend that he's had a season anywhere near as good as Baker's 2020. He hasn't. But the struggles are a little more accountable. You can easily point to these things and go like, okay, that happened because of this. That happened because of this. The coach didn't really like him that much. The coach didn't really want a quarterback like that because he was a defensive first guy. Some of these things kind of make sense why the Drew Lock thing didn't go so well. And even though I don't think Drew Lock is going to be very good, I'm a little more open to the possibility of him having a gear that we haven't seen yet. I think Baker has shown us his gears, personally. That's how I read into it. And that's another reason why getting Baker Mayfield right now it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I know some people are into it, but for that reason, I can't really get behind it. Also, another reason why the Baker Mayfield thing I don't buy it. Baker Mayfield had a major injury last year, the torn labrum. He's still rehabbing, and more than likely, it's going to affect him significantly in 2022. So if you get Baker, you are not getting the best version of Baker, even if you surrounded him with all pros. You are getting a version of Baker Mayfield that is trying to rehab from a major injury, a torn labrum. I don't think that injury goes away in less than a year. I think you are looking at him playing through it last year, him rehabbing this offseason, and him kind of weaning his way through 2022. And then maybe in 2023, you have the great Baker Mayfield. Maybe then you're actually looking at Baker Mayfield and you're going, okay, we're going to get the best version of him now. but that still kind of leaves you high and dry in 2022. So where's the improvement from Drew Lock? Again, I just don't see it. You're not even getting the best version of Baker. And here's the biggest problem with the Baker Mayfield thing. And maybe this is why the rumor included the stipulation that the team might be willing to give him a contract extension now, because presumably a contract extension for Baker now would be relatively low end. I don't know, 10, 12 million a year. I don't see how he has much negotiation leverage right now, given the Browns are trying to kick him out the door. And you also have the injury, and you have the substandard play the previous season for the Browns. But I'm assuming it would be something well below the top-end quarterbacks. But let's say you trade for Baker Mayfield, and let's say you don't extend him because that just sounds like a terrible idea given everything that I just said about Baker. And let's say he does overcome the injury somehow. Let's say his fairy godmother comes down and instantly cures the torn labrum and makes everything go back to the way it was before. And everything's cool there. And then he goes out there and kills it for you in 2022. And he overcomes your lackluster offensive line and your... he works with the strong receiver core that we have. And he works with our tight ends. He works with our running backs. Plays great. Plays beyond what he did in 2020. We make the playoffs. Maybe we even win a game. I'm not even going to talk about Super Bowl. That's silly to me right now. But let's say we overachieve significantly and Baker balls out. You then immediately have to pay him. And by the way, even if you extend him this offseason after trading for him, you might still have to pay him. Because if he balls out in 2022, he might just be like, yeah, I will take my $200 million now, please. I'm holding out. You pay me or I'm not playing for you. That's on the table as well. Getting him on an extension doesn't guarantee his cooperation if he does ball out. So basically, if he kills it for you, you are paying up immediately. And when I say pay up, we're talking at least $200 million. Probably $250. So you're not getting any of the cheap years. That first year, the 2022 year, would be relatively cheap, although not that cheap. We're talking about probably $9 million if we get Cleveland to eat half of his salary. Maybe you could get that number down to like $5 million, but it's still going to be not nearly as little as you're paying Drew Lock, right? Drew Lock's making like what, 2.1, 2.2? So you add all that stuff together, and I have to ask, where's the upside? We traded Russell Wilson just this offseason in part because we didn't want to be paying big money to him. Now, to me, that's not the big consideration there. I have no problem paying a top quarterback top money. But the benefit of deciding to kind of ride this season out and getting your quarterback in the next draft is that quarterback, if you get him, he is on that rookie deal, cheap labor for at least 3 years, maybe more. Maybe 4, maybe 5. It depends on exactly how things break it down. But you're getting 3 years of cheap labor. That was what powered the Seahawks to make 2 Super Bowls and win one of them in Wilson's rookie deal. They were able to spend big on other positions. So you get Baker, he balls out for you, and he suddenly turns into a pseudo MVP candidate, and maybe you even have some success with him. Next offseason, you're right back in the hole of giving your quarterback 20% of your salary cap or whatever. Maybe it'd be like 18%. But Baker has made, I don't want to say no money in the NFL because he was the number 1 overall pick, but he has not made hundreds of millions of dollars in the NFL yet. He's going to want to get paid almost certainly. He's going to get every dollar he can. And I have no problem with that. I want to say that. I want to be very clear about that. I have no problem with players getting paid as much as they can. But why would that be preferable to trying to get a good rookie in the next draft who, if you hit on them, you have them locked up for at least 3 years? So, again, this Baker Mayfield stuff, it kind of strikes me as lose-lose. If you trade for him and he's bad, then you trade for a player who's bad. If you trade for him and he's pretty good, then how is that going to really help you that much, especially when you probably just let him go the next offseason, or you overpay for him on like a Ryan Tannehill type deal. And if you get him any balls, cool. Except now you are immediately paying him and you're having the same issues you did with Wilson, which was part of the reason why you moved off of it. So I'm trying to figure out what the good scenario is here, short of the Seahawks winning the Super Bowl in 2022, which good luck with that. So that's my take on the Baker Mayfield stuff. It just doesn't make sense to me on any angle. I don't buy this report. I don't buy this idea that Baker Mayfield would be good for this team. I don't think you're going to get a good version of Baker in 2022 anyway because he's still rehabbing. And there's just so much working against this, guys. I didn't even talk about the fact that it seems to me he doesn't really want to come to Seattle. If you listen to him talking about his NFL future on, I think it was the Pat McAfee show, he was talking about Indianapolis because they hadn't traded for Matt Ryan yet, and then I think he threw into the end like, I guess then it would be Seattle, and he didn't sound very enthusiastic about it. And if I'm Baker Mayfield, by the way, honestly, I am waiting out this Deshaun Watson thing and seeing if maybe I can go play for Cleveland again. I know things are a little rocky there, but if I'm Baker Mayfield, I'm trying to get back to the Browns, make up with them, and trying to put half a season to a season's worth of quality play up so I can boost my value going into next offseason because obviously the Browns can't keep me, but maybe I'll have a quality season under my belt or at least a decent season to sell myself on in free agency. So that's really all I got on this one, guys. I've been pretty adamant about the fact that at this point, the best thing the Seahawks can do is ride the year out with Drew Lock and Geno Smith. I don't think the results are going to be particularly good. I'm not optimistic about either of those guys being anything special, but that's okay. I don't think very many quarterbacks in the NFL would be anything special behind the offensive line. So anybody you get is probably just going to get killed behind the line anyway. We got two rookies starting to tackle probably. We've got a guard, we've got a left guard, we've got a right guard playing left guard. We've got maybe our best guard on our team starting the season on the bench because Gabe Jackson has seniority. And we've got a center who didn't play a snap last year. Maybe he played a few snaps, but he didn't play very much last year. So I'm just not seeing any real point. But people are going to keep talking about this because Josina puts it out there, and I guess that's the point, right? She puts it out there. And now we got the buzz. Now we got me talking about it. We got people all over the internet talking about it. And I guess that was what was desired from the jump with this report. Get people talking about it. Get Baker looking like he's actually desirable, like somebody actually wants him. And hopefully it leads to something good. But if I'm Baker, I'm staying put in Cleveland. I'm throwing the ball to Amari Cooper. I'm throwing the ball to David Njoku. I'm throwing the ball to, I'm not throwing the ball, but I'm handing the ball off to Nick Chubb. I am getting behind an offensive line that should be at least somewhat improved this year from what it was in 2021. And I'm rebuilding my rep. All right. See you guys later on Twitch, hopefully. Going to do sorted things later today, I think. But that's my Baker take. Let me know what you think. Go Hawks.